Good morning, good Erev Shabbos. Special greetings to our soldiers at Fort Jackson and Shaw Air Force Base and everybody watching our video. Picture this in your mind, an ancient desert landscape. Jewish people standing at the edge of the promised land. Cue the music. What if the greatest obstacle to your future isn't failure? What if it's success? Now, more than 3,000 years ago, the Jewish people stood on the threshold of entering the promised land. Moses sent 12 spies to scout the territory. When they returned, 10 of them delivered a devastating report. They admitted the land was beautiful. Yes, it's flowing with milk and honey. But then came the warning. People are too strong. Cities are too fortified. We're like grasshoppers compared to them. The people panicked. But you know what? There was one problem. The spies were wrong. These were the same people who had witnessed Egypt, the greatest empire on earth, brought to its knees. They had crossed the Red Sea, defeated powerful enemies, and nations throughout the region had already heard about them and feared them, yet somehow they saw themselves as grasshoppers. Now, only 2 of the spies, Joshua and Caleb, refused to surrender to fear. They reminded the people, we can do this. God is with us. But nobody listened. And as a result, an entire generation spent 40 years wandering in the desert. Now, most people think this is a story about the fear of failure, but the Rebbe offered a surprising insight. He said, the spies weren't afraid of losing. They were afraid of winning. In the wilderness, life was filled with miracles. It was easy. God's presence was visible. Food came from heaven, water from a rock. Everything was provided. But entering the land, coming into Israel, meant everything would be different. They would have to build a society, work the land, fight battles, create an economy, take responsibility. God would still be there, but not through constant miracles. His presence would be found in everyday life. And that terrified them because success would require them to grow. Now, this lesson is as relevant today as it was then. Many of us know the fear of failure, but we rarely talk about the fear of success. Success brings responsibility, higher expectations, new challenges, and sometimes, without realizing it, we hold ourselves back because we're afraid of what becoming successful might demand from us. Now, the Torah ends this story with the commandment of the tzitzit, the fringes worn on the tallis, which include a thread of blue. Blue is the color of the sky, the color of heaven, a reminder to always be looking up. Because when we look down, we see obstacles, but when we look up, we see possibilities. The spies saw themselves as grasshoppers. Joshua and Caleb saw a future. And that's the difference between fear and faith. You are not a grasshopper unless you believe you are. The question is not whether the challenge is big. The question is whether your vision is bigger. To be a Jew is to be an agent of hope. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.